Hi Aries, welcome to Starchaeology Tarot. This is my channel. I am Desi. I'm so happy you're here. I've got a crazy story for you to start off this February reading. I pulled cards for you earlier today, you and two other signs, and found out just a bit ago that the sound was completely missing in the videos. Great lesson in acceptance today. That being said, I didn't want to reshuffle and pull new cards for you because the cards that I pulled for you, I think, are so powerful, and so the messages that were coming through, I think, are really important for many of you to hear. That felt very intentional and purposeful. So I hope you will accept my apology with my sound mishap, and just trust in knowing that I pulled these three cards for you earlier, and I want to make sure that this message is delivered to you. So to kick us off, we have the Moon. I pulled the Tower, and Judgment came through. You are the only sign this month so far who has all three of the cards that I pulled be major arcana cards. This potentially can be a really, really, really powerful month for you. Part of the reason why I didn't want to lose these messages here. Before I jump into this, I do want to remind you this is good for Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. What resonates is what's meant for you. What doesn't is not. So only take personally that which is resonant. If it doesn't resonate, it's not meant for you personally. I also encourage you to check out your other placements, because your sun sign is only a piece of who you are, or your Venus is only a piece of who you are, your moon sign, etc. You're a complex and beautiful puzzle. So it's good to approach your own self-discovery and exploration in an equally complex and puzzle-like way. Now this message, I mean, this is really incredible to me, Aries. Many of you are going through a time in February that is full of subconscious knowings or inner knowings that have been buried coming to conscious light. Things coming into focus in your awareness that were maybe blurry in your subconscious before this. You know, maybe it's something that you have always known deep down, things that you've known deep down were true or false, but now your awareness is just like a kaleidoscope, like moving it so that you can, it's crystallizing in a clearer image. Having this inner knowing, sometimes it's like, I know something's wrong, I don't know what is wrong, or I know there's an underlying truth of this situation that I'm not seeing, but I can't say what it is because I can't see it. All of that's the kind of stuff that is now all coming to light for you. You're coming into painful awareness of certain things, I'm hearing. Some of you, it's finding it's truth that's coming to light. Others of you, it's a lie that's falling apart. Which is kind of like saying the same thing, but I think the difference in framing is significant depending on what it is that you're going through. Some of you your subconscious is really active. Maybe this isn't happening in conscious introspection daily, but rather in dreams, in your dream world. You know, you're having recurrent nightmares, or recurring dreams that are really serving to reveal something to you, to kind of pull a Band-Aid off and see really take into account, examine the degree of a wound. February, it's like your mantra is things are not what they seem, or things are not what they seemed to be in the past. And it's disorienting, it's confusing, it's chaotic. It's scary because your reality, the reality that you have known in some way, maybe it's your whole life, maybe it's one aspect of your life, that reality is falling apart. It's disintegrating in front of your eyes, and a new reality is shining through the cracks. And it's getting to the point where it's like, the truth of that can't hide in your subconscious anymore, because it would be crazy to deny what you're seeing with your own eyes at this point. Now, the greatest obstacle is the tower is surrendering to the destruction that these revelations might be revealing. So the realities that are falling apart, that are unraveling for you, truths, things that you thought were the truth that are unraveling for you right now, or lies that are unraveling, all of that is destruction. And destruction, the nature of destruction, feels offensive. So it immediately puts us on the defense, even if it is something that needs to be destroyed. We sometimes defend the thing, protect the thing that isn't actually even good for us, but it's familiar to us. I think for many of you, this is a tool. These are like old tools or old ways of living, old ways of thinking that are crumbling. And at one point in your past, that tool, that way of thinking, that philosophy served you. It served you at that moment because it was the best that you could do in that moment. But now, with your growing awareness, it's no longer the best you can do. And so that's why it needs to fall apart, it needs to be destroyed. And your best is new. It's like your best is a new bar. But some of you are hanging on to that old way of seeing or that old way of coping because, or maybe it's like a literal person you're hanging on to, a relationship. You're hanging on to that old way of something, that old thing, that old pattern, because it worked for you in the past. It's important to recognize you are not who you were in the past, and what may have worked in that moment is not the thing that will work for you now. You are being called to a higher, greater version of yourself, to step into a higher, greater version of yourself. And you need to surrender to that version of yourself. And part of that surrendering is really not resisting this growing awareness. So as you become aware of things, you're a pioneer. You have to be a pioneer. You have to figure out new ways of dealing with your new reality, not going back to the old ways of dealing with your old reality and applying it to this new reality, because those pieces don't fit. It's like jamming together a puzzle that doesn't fit. Psychological towers are crumbling for you, Aries. And some of you, it's all, it really is all happening inside of you. Like there may be outside little catalysts here and there. Others of you, I don't even know if there really is anything happening outside that's making this happen, as much as it is you waking up to certain things, as much as it is you finally being ready, being the person that you've become in this present moment to see things differently. And because you've arrived at this moment, that itself means that you are finally prepared for this moment and for this task at hand. So while it feels offensive, this destruction, know that the destruction is happening for you, not to you. It's happening because there's something so much greater to be created in its place. But there is no room, no space for that new thing to be created. There is no space for that new life of yours to be created for it, as long as that old tower stands. It takes up too much real estate inside yourself. This is your consciousness clearing away things in your subconscious. Your consciousness taking things in your subconscious and saying, you're getting overloaded, you're getting filled up. Give some things to me so that I can process them and get rid of them. Making more space inside of you. How do you let go? How do you surrender to destruction? That's, the obstacle is surrendering to the destruction that your awareness is bringing in your life and in you. How do you do that? I mean, the classic thing of how to let go, it's like the only thing you can do to let go is just let go. There's no steps to letting go. But I think there is something, the advice here does offer, I think, some guidance. Funny, it's judgment. Both of these are a kind of surrender. They both are a kind of letting go. Whereas this is like a surrender to destruction, a letting go to destruction. This is a letting go of the past. And these are inextricably linked for you. You can't surrender to destruction. You can't surrender to the destruction of the past if you're still hanging on to the past. Obviously, those things are in direct conflict. The question is how to let go of the past. And something I heard recently from a very wise person that has really stuck with me is the idea of what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is simply accepting the past. How do you forgive? You accept what already happened. And when I think about those things being linked together, forgiveness and acceptance, like all forgiveness really is accepting and holding a grudge, whether it's against someone else, whether it's against a past event, whether it's against yourself, is a lack of forgiveness. It's a resistance to forgiveness, which is a resistance of acceptance. It's a non-acceptance of something that is already done. And so, of course, it keeps you in this grudge state. It keeps you in this constant state of resistance and discomfort. Maybe because there's this deep belief like you can somehow change it, or that somehow you resisting it emotionally is going to change it. But once you realize that there is no changing it, and that the only way you empower yourself in this present moment is by acceptance, and therefore forgiveness, that's when things really can open up for you. That's when your past no longer has a hold on your present moment and your future. Right now, Aries, your past has your present moment in a death grip. Your past has your future in a death grip. And it's that death grip that is causing your growing awareness and inner reflection and redefining what reality is for you and what's true for you. It's making that so much more painful. So much harder because you're holding on tightly. You're not accepting, you're not forgiving, but then also you're seeing things differently. You're not letting this action be changed by your perception. And that's a really, really conflicted, uncomfortable place to live in. So the ultimate question here, Aries, is how do you accept your past? And that boils down to how you are judging it. Because if you are judging it through a lens of fear and all those shadow emotions that are important, we can't stop them from happening. They take us on a journey, but ultimately that journey needs to lead back to love. If we stay too long in those shadow emotions, we see everything only through a lens of fear, which is, the top of the totem pole of all those darker shadow feelings. They all boil down to fear. So if you are judging your past through a lens of fear, meaning a non-gentleness towards someone else or towards yourself, lack of compassion towards someone else, towards yourself, it's very hard to accept. Whereas if you're able to apply a mantra to how you judge things in the past, a mantra that allows you to see everything through a lens of love, you're much more easily able to accept the past, because you know either maybe that mantra is they were doing their best with what they had in that moment, or I was doing my best with what I had in that moment. It's really hard to be compassionate or gentle when we deny the humanity of others or of ourselves, when we deny our inherent flaws, or we deny that we are products of our conditioning, that we've internalized faulty operating systems. We all have done this. And when we have the expectation of perfection of ourselves or others, we will never be able to see anything or anyone through a kind lens, through a lens of love, through a lens of compassion or gentleness. And ultimately, we're the ones who suffer, because that keeps us resistant, it keeps us non-accepting, and non-accepting means non-forgiveness, and non-forgiveness means a present moment of suffering, a constant state of suffering. So the ultimate advice here, Aries, is if you're looking how to surrender, if you're trying to figure out how do I surrender to this destruction, how do I surrender to this growing awareness I have, this questioning, this disorienting thing I'm going through of what is real and what is not. Things are not what they seem. What do I do now? What am I? How do I define myself? How do I define my reality? How do I feel safe? How do I feel grounded? If you're wondering how to surrender to that process, the key lies in looking at these elements of your past that are coming up, that are involving, the moon stuff, the shaky reality stuff, the questioning reality stuff, the dissecting of truth from lie, truth from illusion, light from dark, to actively, consciously try to look at those things with compassion and judge them in the most compassionate way possible. Give that past you the benefit of the doubt. Give that other person the benefit of the doubt. Excuse me. Judging something with love, you have a much greater chance of judging it more fairly, more truthfully, because truth is always on the side of love, not fear. And if you're able to judge that more truthfully, that's what allows you to then let go of it. That's what allows you to forgive it, to accept it, to keep it in the past, so that there's space in your present, there's space in your future for that new thing that you're going to build, that new creation that is going to take up the place of that crumbling tower that needs to be demolished. I'm really excited for you, Aries. I would love to hear what this looks like for you personally in the comments, so feel free to share if you feel like you'd like to. If you haven't liked or subscribed, please consider it. This growing community means a great deal to me. Thank you to everyone who has become a patron on Patreon, 2 different words. if you'd like to support the work I'm doing, if you'd like to make this work be even better for you, if you'd like to help me do this work better, help me help you better, please consider donating a few dollars a month through my Patreon on the link below. That just helps give me the resources to, again, improve everything, improve on everything that I'm doing, do more of what I'm doing. So I'd love to see you there over on Patreon, especially if you're interested in getting personal monthly readings. There's a lot of deals on that, bonuses, goodies, so please check that out. I am rooting for you, Aries, as always. I love you very much, and I'll see you next time.